Welcome to Meaningful Morning. Please relax the body, enjoy the breath, and quieten the mind. We are completing half of the spirit of Bhagavad Gita, that is chapter 50. We are completing morning 40 out of 50 of this semester. We are completing morning 800 out of 1,080 of Bhagavad Gita. Appreciate what you have at a gross level. Appreciate the body that is allowing you to experience all of this spirituality. Be more authentic and deep. Appreciate the subtle body. Appreciate the mind that can interpret, that can reflect. Be more authentic and deep. Appreciate the causal body, the ego that gets to go on this journey. And most of all, appreciate that which is not a body, that which is the spirit, the Atma. Appreciate life that flows through the ego, mind, body. Stretch, inhale, open your eyes. If the purpose of us being born could be summarized in a phrase, it would be Vasana Nasha, which means disidentification from the prince, the personality prince. As you practiced appreciation, I know your appreciation is more authentic and deep than ever, which shows you're living Vasana Nasha. And if this is too technical for you, remember who you are. Remembrance is a way to resume feeling divine. Yesterday, a thoughtful seeker gave me a thoughtful book. This book shares: in happy moments, praise God. In difficult moments, seek God. In quiet moments, Trust God. In every moment, thank God. Awesome thoughts. We use thank God in such a negative way. Thank God. Meaningful mornings is over. Use this in all moments. In our Upanishad, particularly Mundaka Upanishad, there's a visualization of two birds. These birds are on a tree. There's a higher bird that is being. At most, we can assign the verb that this bird is. Assign the verb that this bird is watching. And then there's a lower bird. And this bird keeps on searching for the perfect fruit. And so it pecks on one, and it's sweet. And it enjoys this. So it goes to another fruit, and it's bitter. And when it pecks on this bitter fruit, it looks up at the higher bird that is watching, that is being, and wishes that it was doing the same. But then it sees the next fruit, feeling this is going to be sweet, but that's bitter too. And the next one's bitter, and occasionally there's a sweet one. Eventually, this lower bird gets tired of the change. That's when this lower bird joins the higher bird, first as a separate entity, but eventually through listening, reflecting, and contemplating, that lower bird unites with the higher bird. Chapter 15 shares the same visualization. Verses 1 and 2 is about bandha, feeling limited. Verses 3 through 5, mukti, how to transition from feeling limited to limitless. Verse 6 is beyond bandha and mukti. There is no freedom because there is no bondage. Verses 7 through 9 are about how divinity expresses through the ego, equipments, and experiences. I told all of you that I've summarized each of these verses in one line. I'm going to read those to you now. In reference to verse 7, God expresses as the world and the ego. The mind senses are created and so naturally are drawn by creation. Verse 8, the ego is ever holding dropping bodies. When the ego moves from a body, the body dies, yet the thoughts of the mind continue on in another body, as the wind carries fragrance between flowers. Verse 9, the ego energizes the mind, which energizes the senses. The pursuit of pleasure is driven by the ego. I hope you found the e-vicharas that summarize this chapter. In verse 10, Shri Krishna teaches the one who is vimudha, very foolish, they feel they are their body, mind, and ego, mostly gross body. The one who is mudha, not very foolish, but foolish, they feel they are their mind and ego. That is the subtle body. They're less affected by the gross body. The one who's mishra muda, semi-foolish. they feel they are the ego. They're less affected by what happens with the mind and the body. And then there's the one who is amudha, the one who is wise. How is the one who is wise? I'm reading some of Pujya Swami Chinmayananda's writings. The unintelligent perceives not this conscious knowledge that is constantly aware of his moment-to-moment experiences. An average human is so much preoccupied by the details of experiences that they cling to their desires for enjoying the outer beauty of things and situations, and so come to overlook and fail to recognize the steady light of consciousness in them, in the presence of which alone can any experience be ever possible. Those who have got the necessary detachment from the minor details of the outer field of experience alone come to recognize and live the joys of the pure self, the subject. The eye of wisdom only represents an extra faculty that develops in the spiritual seeker who, with it, comes to perceive the deeper significances and subtler suggestions in the superficially chaotic play of plurality. We're so lost in that which is existing that we never find existence. Slow down. Slowing down is a practice in using the axe of independence. First, you cut the tree. Then you come to understand and appreciate there is no tree. Infinity you are. Shri Krishna continues with verse 11. Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavastitam yatanto pyakritatmanaha nainam pashyantya chetasaha. Jo. Yatantaha, the one who's striving, they are a yogi. Yatantaha enam, the one who's striving with what Sri Krishna is teaching, is the one who is a yogi. What's beautiful but terrible about Sanatana Dharma is there's no regulation of such titles. See, right now, I can change my name to Shri 108 Yogi Jagadguru Vivekananda, etc., 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 correct? And who's going to stop me? It's all faith-based. So I find everyone calls themselves a yogi. But Sri Krishna's rigor on who a yogi is beautiful. A yogi is one who doesn't feel that seeking is a action, but rather feels seeking is all actions. If you ever feel that you're not seeking, please don't display your name as yogi. More hard and smart work is needed. Specifically, Pashyanti Atmani Avastitam, the one who's seeking in all actions, comes to see what's inside. They're the ones who study and follow Vedanta, the science of inside. Giving you more details on this. A yogi is one who is nourishing purity in their mind. That's step one. And so what happens for them is there is less vikshepa. Now, technically, you're going to tell me that means projection. But in this chapter, what I've shared, it means less expectation. If you have a lot of expectation of the people around you, of the world, that is a gauge of lack of purity of mind. So if that describes you, then seek in a harder, smarter way. Step 2 is nourishing clarity of intellect. And that dissolves avidya. Avidya is not expectation, but rather forgetting what all of this is, who you are. Avidya makes us tune into the existing rather than the existence. My personal experience with how to be a yogi, and I'm not. That's why my name says Vivek, and because I'm lazy, it says Vivek Ji, and so I don't change it. It is only when you are serious about independence that a guide comes into your life, and first they catch your eyes. They live in a way of little expectation. They live in a pure way. And after they catch your eyes, then they can catch your ears and teach you who you are. Teach you that you're divinity. We'll complete this verse thus far on a positive note. The second line comes back to Vimudha, Mudha, Mishra Mudha. We've heard it enough. So we'll pause here and we'll take that hit tomorrow. From inspiration to application. Your application was to realize, and there was a high school student from Boston who joined us yesterday, and I asked her, what did you learn today? And she said, to realize. I said you have to realize how awesome your opportunities have been, but her interpretation was to realize, which is awesome. Her application is to get realized. We are in the final 10 days of this 11th semester. My realization is, if you're not going to become a yogi in this context, what context are you going to become a yogi in? Have you ever felt the inaccessible to become so accessible? What are you hoping to happen in terms of context? Your application for this morning, I want you to reflect on when you started joining Meaningful Mornings, and now who you've become. And I want you to rate how much more enlightened you've become. 1 is awful. Meaningful Mornings has caused you to regress. 100 is awesome, to progress. So suppose I started at a 50, 100 being enlightenment. Where am I now? Okay, suppose I'm at 53. So then Meaningful Mornings has added 3% to my journey. I want you to practice this. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be joy.